England have made it to this point. I have to channel my inner James Orcott. England are going to win the World Cup. They take on Senegal. This is probably the dream draw in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of teams out there that you probably don't want to come up against. Senegal, without Sadio Mane, haven't looked incredible, but they found their way here. Through some way or another, England must be quietly fancying themselves in this one. Jude Bellingham coming up against that Senegal midfield. We've spoken about him so many times today, but this game's probably made for him, because Senegal don't just sit in. They will sit in at times, but there will be spaces for Jude to roam into.
Yeah, I think England have got to fancy themselves in this game. I think out of the other options, I think it's probably the game that England would have liked, but it's definitely not one that they should take lightly. It's a Senegal team who, yeah, they are missing their main man in Sadio Mane, but they've got talent throughout, and the midfield especially is very high energy, but also good on the ball. And I think if Senegal can kind of work that counter-attack out against an England team, let's be honest, the times we've been tested in the final third, we've conceded goals or we've given chances. So I think they'll be looking at it thinking, if we can stay disciplined and we can get England on the counter-attack, then maybe Senegal will think they've got a chance.
Definitely, and I think Senegal's strength comes from the defence. Like their manager Aliou Cisse deserves credit for being progressive in this tournament, but I do think he's going to rely on the partnership of Abdou Diallo and Koulibaly, and obviously we know
world class
partnership really. And that's what they're going to rely on against England, to be strong defensively, and then maybe try and hit England on the counter attack. So I know England should be favourites for this one, but Senegal do pose some threats and some danger, and I don't think it's going to be plain sailing for England. Ismaila Sarr has had to carry a lot of the attacking burden for Senegal, with Mane being out injured. And like I say, they deserve credit for getting to this stage, because when Mane went down before the tournament, people gave them no chance. People picking Ecuador to get out of that group. So the fact that they beat Ecuador and then now in this stage of the tournament, there's nothing to lose for them really. And I do think this game's going to go to extra time. It's going to be a tough one for England.
Well, when I look at this game, I often judge games about, if you're in the changing room, you're in training camp the few days before, Senegal will be talking a lot more about the strengths of a lot more English players. I think England will do that because I think this team's thorough and Southgate's thorough. But when I look at Senegal, who do you pick out as how do we nullify that player? I don't think they have that conversation. I think England are in a position where Senegal should be more worried, and I think if you judge it on that, I think England will not fear anyone in Senegal, whereas Senegal will fear some of the English players.
I think that's what probably makes it more interesting. This really falls in, like, if Senegal were to pick a draw, this probably wouldn't be the one. They probably don't want to play England at this stage. However, there probably isn't many teams that they want to play because of the sort of golfing class. So they come into this game and they're probably thinking, if we can sit deep and if we can soak up some pressure, get Ismaila Sarr on the counter-attack and see what we can do in the final third, and set pieces will be massive in this game. Senegal have been dangerous from set pieces. We know Southgate values his set pieces. Harry Kane's had a quietish tournament. He comes up against probably one of the most informed centre-backs in Koulibaly in the tournament. Not for Chelsea, definitely in this tournament. That's going to be an interesting battle, because England don't actually play through Kane, but he does drop in to pick the ball up, and then if Rashford's playing, that's a Kane pass. If Foden's playing, that's a Kane pass. But then it's slightly different if Saka's playing or if Grealish is playing. Where do you think this game could get settled? Because you've also got Ismaila Sarr potentially against Walker or Trippier. That's where I think it's very interesting as well.
But would you think we'd be talking about Sarr against those players in the Premier League? You think we'd be talking about him being a threat to those players?
But isn't that the magic of the World Cup?
Yeah, no, it is. But I think that's a player that I think our fullbacks will be. He's dangerous. You see him. He's direct. He's good feet. He dribbles with the ball at pace. But I think they'll be all right. I think there's more attacking players in this tournament who our fullbacks will be having headache and really, really feeling like they've got to be at the top of their game for.
I think that Senegal can take a page out of the Colombia handbook when we played against them in 2018. It was a lot of engaging in dark arts and breaking down the game and making it bitty, and then trying to exploit England with Juan Cuadrado and hitting England in the counter-attack. We saw what Yerry Mina was doing. They made the game horrible for England. And that's what I think Senegal are going to have to do. They're less like that. Look at the team, they're full of nice boys. They're not going to engage in the kind of antics that Colombia did. But that's their best chance of winning this game. Breaking it down, not making it fluid, not letting England get into their passing motions and passages. And hopefully Ismail Assar can pull something out of the hat and score a goal for them, going forward is going to be their issue. They're just not. They haven't got that potent goal scorer. I feel like that for a lot of these countries in the World Cup. They've got a great team, but they haven't got that person who can put the ball in the back of the net, and that's where they're going to struggle in this one.
Mane's you can't judge how big of a loss he is for that team, and I think we'd be having a different conversation. It would be England should be scared of Mane. The fact he's not there, like you've said, that cutting edge that you need to go score a goal, England have got more of, and they're looking a little bit blunt at the minute.
The other issue for Senegal is Idrissa Gueye is suspended. Andros Townsend was on commentary and he was devastated for his teammates because he's actually been so good at this tournament. He's actually played as a 10, which has been bizarre because if you watch him at club level, the fella does not like shooting.
It's straight out of, remember John Obi Mikel when he played for Nigeria?
Yeah.
He was like a number 10, almost like a false 9 at points. And it's interesting to see Idrissa Gueye in some games play in that more advanced position. He does get a nosebleed when he gets to the opposition box. He doesn't provide that goal scoring threat. But he will be a miss for them in this game because he would be part of a midfield three that was sitting deep and making the game difficult for England. So it's a shame that he's missing. I think they'd have a better chance of getting through if he was playing. But like I said, I think Senegal just have to make this game nasty, man. They have to break it up. They've got to make it a not enjoyable experience for England. You've got to get the England players frustrated and make sure you don't concede early because otherwise it could be a long evening for Senegal.
Yeah, we're not giving them a chance. I think they're defensively sound, and I think there's easier teams to play against defensively. Koulibaly's there. He's a rock. It's going to be difficult for Kane. That's a challenge. So I think scoring for England is going to be not as easy as I think we may be giving Senegal credit for. But I think,
to be fair, Senegal did concede against Qatar.
Yeah.
That's
right,
never a good look.
That's never
in
a
this
good
tournament.
look. Yeah.
England, on the other end, I have spoken about this back five. I'm assuming, Liam, you're backing England to start with a 4-3-3. If that is the case, who would your midfield three be?
Yeah, I'm sticking with a 4-3-3 and the same midfield. Just going Rice at the pivot, Bellingham and Mount is my midfield three. I don't think we need to change to a 5. If we get through the next game, you'll be here screaming for another 5 at the back. But I think stick 4-3-3. It's worked for us. I think it gives us that balance we need, and I think with our attacking options, it gets one extra in. And yeah, that'd be my midfield three. It's a tough one whether you put Foden in over Mount potentially, but again, I'd rather Foden coming on than I would Mount coming on. So it's tough.
I'm kind of copying your homework here because I said that England should go the same lineup that we started against Wales. But I do think that we've got the opportunity to be a little bit more progressive so having the midfield three of Rice, Mount and Bellingham as opposed to having Henderson in there. Because I think that Mount gives you a little bit more going forward. Obviously, Henderson gives that energy and is the lead on the pitch and he's kind of directing players where to go. But I think we're going to have a lot of the ball and I think Mount gives you a little bit more going forward. So yeah, I'm changing my mind. I want to go the midfield three that you picked as well because I think that gives us the best opportunity to beat the Senegal team.
I think Henderson will want to be on the pitch. He's captain of Liverpool, a successful Liverpool team. I think he'll want to be on the pitch, but I don't think he should undervalue the impact he can have for England this tournament. In previous big games that we've got to, I think we've lost the game in the midfield. If you look at the World Cup, you look at the Euros, we lost the game in the midfield, and I think Henderson having that experience of playing in massive games, there's few players I'd trust more to come on and keep England playing a certain style if we do get later in the tournament. So although he'll want to play, I think he's massive for us in the way he demands a standard, expectations, and those final games after weeks of intense World Cup when you need someone to. No, he's a good player, but off the ball, what he does, what he demands of players, I think in the later stages of the tournament, if we get there, he can be a really, really useful and influential part of midfield for England. That's
a really good point you make as well, because you just look at that midfield that England lost against when they played Croatia in 2018, Brozovic, Rakitic and Modric, and that's where the game was lost. Despite us going ahead, we just couldn't keep hold of the ball, and it happened in the final Euros as well. So you're right. Henderson might be pivotal later on in the tournament, especially if we move to your beloved back five. He might have a part to play.
It's a necessary back five.
Necessary back five. But I think that's where maybe Southgate, I wouldn't say try things in the knockout stage of a World Cup, but this should be a game that England England would fancy winning comfortably. So Southgate does want to try a few things in preparation for France, who we expect to play in the latter rounds or in the quarterfinals. Then this would probably be a game to try it. And if Henderson does start, I wouldn't begrudge it because he's a world-class centre midfielder.
I think it's funny that all the talk before the World Cup was how we were going to squeeze right-backs in. Now we're trying to squeeze midfield in. Do you think that's a position that we might see Kyle Walker coming in? Now he's got some minutes under his belt. Do you think he's back as England's starting right-back?
I think against Ismail Assar, yes. I think Trippier will have problems against Ismail Assar because he's direct. I know Trippier often gets compared to Trent, and therefore defensively you can sort of shine a light in his favour. But I think actually defensively this tournament he has been a little bit suspect, and I wonder if Senegal go just give the ball to Ismail Assar and get him running there. If Walker's fit, you've got to play Walker. He's a cheat code. Any team that's got a quick forward, he can essentially just keep him quiet. So for me, it would be Walker. That's again a little bit pragmatic, but maybe me and Southgate have a lot more similarities than I think. That would be my right back.
I'm expecting you to come in the waistcoat.
Next show he's going to be in a
like
waistcoat.
5 times.
Yeah.
I agree with you with the Kyle Walker point though. He is a cheat code. He's such a good defender, almost underrated. People forget how good he is because he's been such a physical freak for so long, but he can also play football as well. So he will be more than adequate in terms of nullifying Ismail Assar. And if he is fully fit, which we hope he is after he played the majority of the game against Wales, then he's got to start the remainder of the tournament.
It's funny with Kyle Walker because when you have one attribute that is so obvious, his pace, he's played in a technical Man City team. Yeah. He might not have the standout switches of play or the free kicks or the passing range of a Trippier or a Trent, but he's a technical player. Just because his pace is obviously a standout feature, he still is able to find a pass. He's still someone I'd trust to do those things. And yeah, he's made the occasional rash tackle. Who hasn't in a defensive area? So I think Kyle Walker's very underrated in the sense that he's a player who's played at one of the most technical football clubs, won leagues, won trophies, and he's been key part of that. So he's not someone who is just pace matching for pace. He's a good player.
A very good footballer.
He's an incredible. You can't play for Pep Guardiola for this long and not be a good footballer. Unfair, he gets compared to Cancelo, who's just not a fullback. That guy is not a fullback, and it kind of highlights Walker's deficiencies. But we saw in the Champions League the job that he did on Vinicius. We need him playing against any winger that's going to pose us any threat going in behind. So Walker has to play if he's fit.
Very quickly, score predictions. I'll give mine first. I think 1-1, extra time, pens. England win on pens. What are you saying?
Wow.
He's gone Colombia fully. Colombia 2018.
I think England will have enough. I think we'll concede. And to be honest, I never trust us to keep a clean sheet at the minute.
Because we don't play a back five.
But I think we'll have enough going forward, and I think it will be a 2-1 or a 3-1 to England.
I think 2-1 England after extra time. It's going to be a tough game, but a game that will engage the masses. We'll be throwing beers in the air and doing all the madness that you do. Watching England, it'll be tense, but England will get through, and it's France in the quarterfinals for us.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.